But every IT department wants other departments to see the department as a valuable part of the community, of the company, not just a fixing things department. So first of all, we'll just talk a little bit about GLPI, because I know there are some people that are here for the first time. So GLPI is an open source tool that is available and used in more than 180 countries that we have number of, and we have more than 60 languages where that can be used in GLPI. So if you have a multinational company, for example, you can use GLPI for every branch you have in your organization. We have today more than 50,000 instances deployed on our cloud, and we imagine that we have more than 10 million users. And in these users, we say community, clients, partners, everyone that uses GLPI is considered a user in this number. So in terms of numbers, we are everywhere. GLPI is maintained by an official editor, which is TechLib. I'm Arthur Schiffer. I'm the tech writer here at TechLib. TechLib is a French company with the majority of people working based in France, but we also have people in Brazil, in Poland, in Spain, Italy, Ireland, United States. So we have people also all over the world. GLPI is an open source tool, and we have a way of doing business for companies that need some support, some editor support, that we call the GLPI network. If you have an on-premises instance in your organization, or many on-premises instances in your organization, you can count on our offer of the GLPI network. With the GLPI network, you have access to bug fixes and supported plugins in the GLPI from the official editor. You can also have the vendor warranty, which I was talking before, which is us, TechLib, and also access to exclusive plugins that are only available under our subscription or on our cloud that I'm going to talk about after this slide. When we talk about the cloud that I was mentioning before, we have users in almost every country, let's say like this. We have servers in a lot of countries. You can check them on our documentation, but I must say we have plenty of them in Europe, like in France, in Germany. We have some servers in India now. We have some servers in United States, Canada. So we have a lot of servers if you have this kind of situation where you need to have your server locally in your country. The GLPI network is offered by two options. So the public network and private network. The public means that your resources are going to be shared with other instances. It's your cloud, it's your data, it is isolated from others, but you have resources that are shared between servers. And when you need a more powerful environment for you, you can always count on the private network, on the private cloud, which is a dedicated server for your organization. So there are some server features that are different between them. So if you need more control to your server, the private cloud is the one that is recommended for you. And also, we work with a vast number of partners all over the world. We have today more than 100 partners. So I guess we have more 5 or 6 this month. So I'm not sure the number. So we have from silver to platinum partners. So you can count on them when you need some integration help, and also training and all this support on the tool itself. We provide support if you have bugs, if you have difficulties on the application, but if you need help on integrating, creating your workflows, understanding the tool, the partners are the first ones to talk with. But let's start what we are here for. And I know that here we have a lot of people that are from IT. Are you all from IT, or are you from other departments? Let me know in the comments. It is expected, since GLPI has been brought to life as an asset management tool, and also was received some new features for service desk. And usually the IT is the department that use service management and asset management. But every IT department wants other departments to see the department as a valuable part of the community, of the company, not just a fixing things department. I must ask you, how many of you have already been asked to fix something that isn't actually IT? I will let a poll here and you can answer. So the majority of you occasionally are requested to fix other things other than IT assets, and it's expected. And it is good to know that that some of you have strict boundaries for that. That's nice. Thank you for your participation. Let's come back to the chat. If it has buttons, it's IT. That's a good one. In Brazil, we call IT. If you think about it in Portuguese, it's TI, which would be like tudo incluído, which would be like everything is included in English. So someone has told me that they thought that IT was everything is included, because in Portuguese it makes some sense. So it's kind of nice. Let's come back to what we're talking about. It was expected. So every IT department wants to be part of the solution, not just someone that is reminded when something is broken or something is not working. Even though it's IT, we want to be people that are reminded. I know that. I've been in this position of IT department wanting that. And when we speak about service management, we must always consider that there's a demand, a task to be done by one or several departments. And for sure, people are related to this with an expected delivery. And, the service management processes are always useful in these cases, because you have people, you have jobs to be done, you have departments to be included in the service. So if you have this kind of environment in your organization, which every company has, usually having some service management processes is very useful. And typically the ITSM tool, it is already the primary contact, the point of contact to the service management. If you are already using GLPI, you probably know that people look for you because you already do the job of fixing things. So they are looking for solutions in one place. So the ITSM, it is already the primary center of contact. So why not make it also work on other places? Engage other departments to also look for help there. It is where employees look for help, and it already manages, like, if you have a high maturity in your IT, you already probably manage assets, servers, computers, monitors, network devices, software vendors, knowledge base, contracts, budgets. Everything is possible to be done in GLPI right now. So let's imagine a different situation where you can have other departments also there. There was a report from Axelos. This is from 2023, but I couldn't find the actual the current report of this benchmark that made by Axelos. But when they were asking executives how they would rate their organization level of success, the ITSM success, almost 50% of them says that it is great or good. So if their ITSM is great or good, why not teach other departments to also be good or great in service management on their areas? So I think it's a good thing. I would ask you, how would you rate your organization current level of ITSM success? You can let on the chat. I will read after I keep on my presentation. But how would you rate your organization current level of ITSM. Because when we talk about the maturity curve of, I skipped one. The maturity, we see that the top 10 key challenges when implementing a service management tool are lack of buy-in from senior management. ITSM doesn't have enough influence, so IT departments doesn't have influence, or we have inefficient work practices. Everything is related to services here, I believe. Everything is related to services. We are not talking just about tools. We are talking about services, about processes, about people, about influence. So let's make it better. Let's make our part in this. When we see the maturity S curve for 2024, we see that the ITSM, I don't know, you're not seeing probably my mouse. Yes, you can see my pointer. So if you have only a help desk, you are probably on the chaotic maturity level. If you are already doing some basic CMDB and ITAM, for example, or if you have a service catalog, you are driving towards a better maturity, a higher maturity level, which is a bit of reactive. When we talk about ITSM itself, we are on a stable maturity level. But if we talk about, ESM, which is something that we are going to talk about today, which is enterprise service management, when we want to bring more people to the same idea of working with service management and centralize everything to have control, we start to have some kind of predictive maturity level. I really liked this graph because it brings some ideas of where we can drive to if we correctly press the correct buttons, let's say, and bring service management to other departments. Let's see what people were talking about, the maturity level, like minus 90,000. It's a joke. So let's talk a little bit about ESM. Today, limiting services only to IT means you are ignoring half or more of the company's needs, because IT is not the core function of a company. IT is a support department. So if it's support, it doesn't make money. So it is important to make sure that if you limit just for that, you are not seeing the whole thing. Because when companies demand for some kind of uniformity and centralized services in order to improve efficiency, they also facilitate the governance that we have here. We reduce silos and redundant processes, and for sure in the end we are going to increase user satisfaction because you have transparency, you have all the processes already mapped out, you have all the information available for everyone when they need, and when and for what they need. The methods that we have in IT are totally applicable on other departments. In GLPI, we have implemented, mainly in GLPI 11, a concept called genericity. So yeah, the features like custom forms, the custom assets, they are features. But this is part of a whole thing called genericity. We are driving towards a path where we have this kind of generical management in GLPI, so we can cover more than just IT. So the idea was to decrease or reduce the technical debt on different plugins and reuse the same code, so we have more core quality, let's say this way. We give you also some flexibility to make it work on other departments. And with that, you have an unlimited number of inventory that can be made. When we talk about ESM today, and I am today talking only about the generic assets, which is the name of the presentation. I was talking about advanced forms on the last webinar. So if you haven't seen the last webinar about advanced form, it's on our YouTube and our LinkedIn. So you can look there and see a little bit about our advanced forms. Today, I'm driving just to ESM. So what is today? Do you already use GLPI? First at all, are all of you using GLPI already? Or some of you are thinking about GLPI? So let's imagine that you want to expand GLPI in your company. What is the biggest barrier for doing that? It's on our poll again. So number one is resistance from other department heads. It's understandable. Second one is tool complexity. So I hope I can bring you some insights and some clarity on this. Lack of non-IT fields and assets. I hope I can also bring some ideas today. And budget, we can always we can always sell the idea to other departments. So when we look about in GLPI, we have here in GLPI 11 something called asset definitions. If you look on our left, we are going to see all the assets that we already know in GLPI. So if you use, it doesn't matter if it's 10, 9, or 11, you are going to see computers, monitors, software, network devices, everything that we already know in GLPI. And down here, we can see some different assets that we call real estate, ventilators, ECGs. So everything here was created by me as examples to show you that there are plenty of ideas using custom assets. And this idea of adding services, for example, came from a demonstration that I've done for a person in South Africa, and they were talking about services. How could we have service management, like services when we call the whole thing, not just the router or not just the mail server, but the whole service called, for example, ERP system. So when we talk about the service ERP system, we can have like 3 or 4 servers. We can have 5 network devices and some licenses, some certificates that can be related to this service. So this was a very good idea that came from there. And when we open, for example, here, I brought to you a very nice idea to manage planes. I don't know how many of you have already worked on planes market. I haven't. So some things here I've created by myself. They may not be accurate, but here you can see that this plane has a number, has a weight, has an acquisition type, has a capacity of passengers. And it is a little bit different from other kind of assets like computers. If you get into a computer, for example, we have the default fields for a computer. But when we click on a lift, for example, we must have different fields for that. In this case, they are using the same fields because I've created, but I didn't customize the fields that I want or do not want to have in my assets. So let's use the example of a new asset. Let's create a new asset category. Tell me on the comments which kind of asset should we create that you would like to manage in your organization. Give me some ideas. Trucks. Let me see if I have already trucks here. No, I don't have trucks. So that's a good one. So let's create a new class of assets called trucks. Must only type it correctly. I make it active and I can choose here an icon. Truck delivery, that's a good one. I could add also comments, but I won't. This system name is something that is not going to change. So if you add here the like spaces, the system name is a class on code, so it's not going to be the same because I need it to be homogeneous. when we go to coding. So we'll just add it here. I won't add a picture at the moment. I can click on trucks, and then this currently is not possible to be seen by other profiles because I haven't done any profile configurations. So every asset has like a capacities tab. In these capacities, you can relate features that are already available in GLPI, like if you want to relate a truck to a contract or documents or impact analysis, financial information, or if you want to add an antivirus to our truck, reservation, if you want to reserve it, make it available for reservation, all of the capacities that are already available in GLPI can be related to this new asset. If you are creating an asset that doesn't use any kind of capacity that is available in GLPI, you don't need to check any of these boxes here. So I will hit save this in this example, and I'm going to fields. This is where the magic is kind of, this is where the magic begins. We can add custom fields. We can hide current fields that are already being shown. And we can, for sure, navigate them, drag and drop them in different positions. So what would be a good field to have for a truck? Capacity, I guess, capacity. So if I would choose like capacity, I could like mention that it's, kilos. And I can have a type, be it a string, a number, date, if it's a yes or no, if it's a box, if it's an URL, GLPI will already do all the work of understanding if it's correct or not, the kind of field that we have here. There's a good one here that was talking about driver. Someone has mentioned driver. There are two ways of doing that. I would say like user would be the driver of it, but if I want to create new drivers, I could create a new drop down. And before I finish the truck, I will open another tab here to show you the custom drop down, which is something that is kind of hidden. So if you click on drop downs, it is also related to GLPI's custom assets. So you can create custom drop downs. In this case, I've created already 5 custom drop downs, which is the physical condition, acquisition type, cost center, usage environment, or operated by. I could, in this example, click on drop down definition and create one for drivers, for example, truck drivers. In this case, I don't know if I have people here, user. Yeah, in this case, let's say user, I'll let it active. I'll add this drop down here, click on truck drivers, and then I could, for example, make it available for all profiles. And then I can create some new drop downs for them. Custom drop downs, truck drivers, and then I could create here a new one. So let's say Arthur is a driver. This would be a way of creating drivers if you don't want to use users at the moment. So coming back to the truck, I could, for example, let's use it, driver. Drop down. I'll choose the drop down that I've created before. So assets, truck models. I must refresh it. Drop downs. Driver, truck drivers. I'll click on add, and then it's there. Let's say I don't want UID, I don't want the update source, I don't want, the, what else? Alternate username, user number. I'll hit save, and then I need to make sure that this asset is available for the profiles that I want to have access to this. I can click on all of them here. So every profile will have access to this asset. And I can also choose here which kind of profiles can associate this kind of asset to tickets. If I don't add here the people that are able to insert them on tickets, I will not have these assets available on other on tickets. Self-service, so I can use it. User ticket opening, self-service. That's good. I'll hit save. And then, as I've mentioned before, if you have different languages, you can always translate this. So if I click on new translation, I can translate the asset name. But if I have different fields, I can also translate the different fields that I have for this asset. So truck drivers, it's a field. I can say, for example, in Portuguese, it's good. And then when I come back to assets, what is it? I need to log out and log in. I can see here trucks. Now I can create a truck. And here we have truck drivers, and here it is, Arthur Schaeffer. If I have models of trucks, I can already insert them here using models. So I'll use the planes because this is one that I've already done. So if I want a Boeing, I want to create a new Boeing. Let's create a new Boeing, add a new name, webinar, the weight. I can type the weight, the group in charge, the capacity. It's like 200. No, we are into 174 people here. So 174. It was the acquisition type is like a lease. I will not insert anything else because it's, it's only things from, it is a Boeing. Yeah, it's a Boeing. I will choose the model, Boeing 777. I'll click add, and then I created a new kind of plane to this. As you can see here on our left, I have only the impact analysis, contracts, and management. For this, I didn't enable every capacity for planes. So I can now manage all my planes, let's say like this. Coming back to idea of servers, for example, let's say you want to have a class called servers in your organization. So you can also bring some information from the asset definitions. Let's click here, for example, in servers, not services, servers. If you enable the capacity called inventory, the GLPI agent can report inventory data for these assets. Disable screen share. Okay. So first question is, can it be added to new assets via data injection? Not at the moment, as I've mentioned. What about linked insurance contract and company contacts? Yes, if you create the capacities, like I've mentioned, if you enable the capacities, you can relate the contracts, the budgets, the company, the contacts, everything there. Is it possible to link a custom asset to another custom asset? Yes, when you enable the relation capacity, you can have the relationship between devices. If you have support questions, I will ask you to drive them to the support. This is a better way to do that. Ticket automatically saved. That is a good question, Jesus. It is possible to have submitted tickets automatically saved to a custom asset. Yes, we're going to see it right now. So I've created here, I'll share again my screen. I will turn off my camera so we have more quality. So here I've created already a form for that. I will impersonate an end user, and I'll open a ticket for a plane, for example. I could make a reservation for a car. In this example, this car is available for reservation, so I could click here and book it for some time if I wanted to. But let's open a ticket for planes. So here I have plane repair. It's a form already created for that. I will click on plane repair. I will choose which plane needs the fixing. So it is already bringing information from there. Arthur, but you created a new plane here called webinar. Why it is not appearing? Because I've activated the option for the planes to be shown just for the group that is using that. So let's create it, add infrastructure and see if it works. Users, end user again, I will impersonate it, service catalog, and then plane repair. Now I have the webinar there as well, so I can choose webinar. So let's click on this PS, and then the kind of repair. Let's say it's an airframe problem, and then it's a sheet metal repair. I could have extra description if I wanted to, because I've created this on my form, and then I'll hit submit. If I click on submit, I can see the ticket here. It is already populated with information that I've done before. But if I open it as a support agent, I can see here the plane repair. On my right, I can see that the plane is already inserted here. Why? Because I've done that on my form. If I open here my form for plane repairs, I think it's in the other page, yes. Plane repair. I can see here my questions. There are plenty of questions on conditional visualizations, but on the first one, I can choose item, GLPI objects, and I can pretty much choose every kind of assets that I've created before, like furniture, cars, air conditioning that I've created before. So you can add them here. And if the user has access to those or can assign those assets to the ticket, as I've mentioned before, like in the custom assets there, the assets definition for trucks in this example, the profiles that are here can associate that. And profiles must also have access to this kind of assets. They should be part of a group, or they should see only their devices. All of this is also made on the entities setups. So you can see here on assistance. Sorry, it's on setup general. On assistance, here you can also choose which kind of devices will be shown. And on the profiles, as I was mentioning, if you click here and on the self-service, here, you can see on the assistance which kind of items they can assign to tickets, be it trucks, ventilators, and if they can only link with their devices, all items, or also for the groups. Did it answer the question about adding an asset to a ticket? We are currently trying to work with the ESX, VMware ESX. I know there are some subjects about this matter, but I can't precise which kind of work is being done at the moment. If you want to send an email, Fabian, send it to me, or contact me on LinkedIn. Does GLPI have a reminder or follow-up function to schedule follow-up actions for tickets in the queue and to meet deadlines? You can use SLAs and escalation levels. So you can create the escalation level to send a message or a follow-up or do something on a, 2 hours before the SLA ends or 1 hour before. You can always do these kind of things. Let's see some questions. Is it possible to filter the assets based on the location? If your asset has a location set, so sharing again the screen, let's say an asset like a computer has here a location. Here we have locations for them. So I could for sure filter using the location. So I could click here on global and here the location. And then I can look for the device that I want or the asset that I want using the location. I could, for example, also add here a filter as location and ease, and you can choose the location that you want. So in this case, apartment, which is apartment. These are the assets that I have in my in apartment. How did I put a picture of PC asset? This is an extra. Every picture that comes here, this is the picture, I guess. You can and should use models. So if you click on dropdowns, all these models are using GLPI. So for example, if I use a truck model that I've created, that I've done before, let's take the planes. I want the planes. Here's a plane. Let's take this Boeing 777. Let's take a picture of it. 777. I'll just save an image here. Boeing, download. So I'll add here the picture of this Boeing. File's too big. I need a smaller plane. I won't have this. I will not take your time. So drop downs, I'll go to computers. So in computer models, you can add all the images that you have. So if it's rackable, like servers and network devices, you can have here the front picture, the rear picture to see on your rack, and other pictures if you have some other pictures. So once you do that and you relate this computer to a model that has a picture, it will appear here. And if it's a rackable one, when you click on racks, create a new rack and add a device. For in this example, I have here, probably the picture is not good enough to appear, but if I had here a picture of a server, it would appear here. Let's say the switch 01. I have already a picture, but it's not appearing. So every picture that I insert here will appear on racks and also on my right. It is made on models.